Hi, Ellen.
Hi,
We
Nicole.
are in for a treat today with Ellen being with us. I'm so excited, and you'll see why I'm excited as soon as you hear Ellen speak a little bit. Ellen, I'd love to start with your bio. Does that sound all right?
Sounds great, Nicole.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. There's so much to say about Ellen, and we had to condense it down because it's rich. Ellen Pritchard Dodge is a recognized leader in character education and communication skills in the classroom. She has published numerous books and articles in the area of social emotional learning. Ellen has extensively taught in public schools in Northern California, where her communication curriculum won a National Character Education Award. Ellen, with Dr. William Pollack, author of Real Boys, collaborated to create classrooms that are academically and socially engaging for boys through supporting our sons. In 2013, Ellen served on Parenting Magazine's editorial advisory board, and in 2017, she launched the parentingpartner.org to help schools and homes partner to raise emotionally strong and resilient kids. The California Speech, Language, and Hearing Association bestowed Ellen Honors of the Association, which is the highest honor as a significant contributor to the field of speech and language pathology. And to the, you'll have to help me with this one, Ellen, is it Kasha?
Kasha.
Kasha, and to the Kasha organization. Thank you. And Ellen is the mother of 3 daughters and lives in Northern California, but treasures her Midwestern roots and large extended family in Chicago.
Yeah. And I'm
Okay.
headed there tomorrow to see my
Whew,
93-year-old parents.
really?
Speaking about parenting,
Ah,
and I know
okay.
I've sort of bombed in,
Yeah.
the way they parented me really informs my learning and the way I connect with people to parent.
Mm,
Good old fashioned, what's your legacy?
okay.
What is your legacy, mom and dad and caregiver? My parents, I can just tell you, they are people that were generous. They were kind. They were family first, just basic common sense. But
Mm,
it wasn't pretty growing up. It was a lot of up and down,
mm,
right? So I do treasure my family.
wonderful. Thank you. Okay. Speaking of family and parenting, that's
Mhm.
what we want to talk about today. We want to talk about parenting teens, and we know that teens are going through a particularly challenging time right now during COVID. Yeah. And that sometimes as parents, COVID or not, that it can be really challenging to know what's going on for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to really understand. And so my request, I hope, is that today you'll share some suggestions around how we can try to speak to our teens in a way that is more likely to lead to them opening up and sharing a bit about what's going on and what they're feeling.
Absolutely. And it's my pleasure. I love kids.
Mm,
I love kids of all ages, but I will tell you, parents, this is my very favorite age group
mm,
because it's complicated and messy. And this is what I love to join parents on because if you concentrate on things to do and things to avoid, simple things to do and simple things to avoid, kids will feel more relaxed and they'll connect with you very differently.
mm,
So let me start with just kids in general. When kids are little, they're like puppies. Most of them. They get up on your lap. They like to be pet, most kids. And they like to be fussed with and played with and talked to and blah, blah, blah. But at around 12 and a half, in a pandemic or not a pandemic, Most kids kind of venture into being more like a cat, Nicole.
Mm.
They slow down a little bit. They become more self-conscious because, duh, they're aware. Wow, I'm separate from my parents, and there's kids and teachers that are making opinions about me. So understandably, it's a lot of, uh-oh, am I okay? And it's really right about 12 and a half. So what happens, and it worries most parents, because their body language changes. They start to take their hood and they put their hood up.
Mm-hmm.
They start to break eye contact. They don't have as many smiles. Their tone of voice is just, not all kids, but the majority. And this is normal. But what happens is, when my kids were little, I thought, oh, my kids will never do that because I'm not like that. My family wasn't like that. We're not like that. We don't watch those television programs. Well, they all did it. And I'm only grateful now because I lived. And I'm only grateful because I can actually say to parents, I get the fear, I get the
Yeah.
annoyance, I get the. So, first of all, it's a normal, important time for kids to shift. So, here's how we shift.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We say to ourselves, oh, this is to be expected. This is an important developmental milestone for my kid to figure out who they are separate from me, number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, because you're not going to like it, you're not going to be like, yay, it's so good to see you, because they don't look at you so pleasing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you get it. I can see in your face. They walk into the room and they look at you like, who allowed you to come in? That's the cat. And what happens to the parent who's human too is our communication changes. We start to end up having kind of similar body language, maybe. And this is without a pandemic. Okay. So you know where I'm
Yeah,
going.
oh, I do. I do. And part of it is if they pull back more, right? They might close
What?
down. So we might be a little more, what's going on? A little more skeptical, a little more curious,
Mhm.
right?
So stay with that.
Yeah.
What most people do when people pull back because they're shy or they're going inward is worry makes most people come towards the person they love. Now, parents, stick with me, caregivers, stick with me. What I'm asking you to do is reduce your talking.
Mm.
Most parents talk when they see their kid. It's just a habit. And they talk and they ask questions and right? You're laughing because you probably
So
do it.
true.
Okay, so
So
the
true.
first, so here's what you do, Nicole.
Mm-hmm.
I call it etch a sketch, you know, that toy. You go back and you go, oh, I was talking to this lady and she was saying about, I have a habit. Have you noticed this? She's not even going to let you finish the sentence. When I see you, I just start talking. And some kids will go, oh, you're not that bad. But most kids will go, yeah, and they'll add to it. So what I want you to do is go, tell me more, because I wasn't aware of this. I'm
Uh-huh.
going to
Uh-huh.
practice. I'm going to practice every time I see you, not blah, 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 blah. Home run. If we finished right now, parents, I think that can help reset your teenager.
Okay. All right.
Next thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Ellen, if you're saying down the talking, I have to talk because if I don't talk, then how would I connect with them? Up your nonverbals in your creative communication.
Okay.
Like this.
We're listening.
Okay, here you go. You see your kids slink into the room and not even give you the time of day. So you just, inside, you're probably like, oh, I miss my puppy. Okay. Or inside, you're like, oh, I'm so worried. They just look so tragic.
Mm-hmm.
Because they feel it. And then, just kind of go around your day because you want to be vibing to them. They can do hard things.
Mm-hmm.
This is a hard time. If we're always emulating worry, 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 that we're not saying we can be worried and we can know your family can do hard things. And this
Yes.
is
Yes.
your growth time. And
Uh-huh.
growth hurts. Think of, I don't know if your daughter did this. All three of my kids' legs hurt when their legs were
Mm-hmm.
growing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, mommy, my legs. And I'm like, of course, fear thought. They can't walk. They've got epilepsy,
Yeah, yeah,
And then the doctor's like, it's normal.
yeah.
Kids in their teens are growing and it's painful. So
Uh-huh.
they show it and they outlash, but it's kind of like their legs. So don't talk as much. If also down questions.
Uh-huh.
Most people in our relationship converse through WH. Or how. How's your day? What? When? Where? Whoa,
Yeah, yeah,
what?
yeah.
It's a
Who
loser.
said? What happened? Yeah, one
It's,
after another.
it's because we saw people do that and we are trained to do that. So I want you to just notice how many questions you ask
Mm-hmm.
and then mention it to your kid. Be like, whoa, I'm taking a class, show growth mindset. And
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
ask a lot of questions. I don't think that's very fun to be around me. And they will tell you, you're right. It's not.
They
So
will
now
tell the truth. Mm-hmm.
you find them and actually authentically be like, okay, I need your help because I have this habit.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I want you to shift out is it's more like commenting and asking for storylines. So for example, if your kid's in the kitchen and you're in the kitchen and they're really not talking and maybe you're singing or you got music on or you're saying, oh, here's some green beans or whatever. You're, oh, by the way, like you do to a cat. You might say, hey, is there any story to? And then you name the thing you want to talk about. So, for example, let's say you saw the backpack is like thrown in in a different way, something that kind of is hard. You say, what's the
Mm-hmm.
little story to the backpack? I'm not really sure what's going on there. Like, just, oh, by the way.
Uh-huh.
And your kid will be like,
Uh-huh.
there's no story to it. It's just a backpack. Say, "Oh, okay. So you're acting like, okay.
Okay.
You do it enough and they
Mm-hmm.
show you or tell you some things like, I'm so sick of the pandemic, or I got the Zoom is so boring, or I like the pandemic because I don't. Instead of saying what, when, where, say, oh, whoa, tell me more about that. Really? Tell me the story. What's the story there? They'll, they tend to tell you a little bit more, Nicole.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think that's about? Is part of it making things a little lighter, being a little more casual, not coming across as if you're starting, an interrogation scene in a detective story? Is it a combination of those things? What do you think that is, Alan?
I think it's all of those things. Remember, teenagers are growing. It can be painful and scary to grow. So they're in a self-protective mode. So the way most parents talk to kids that they love is in ways that does feel a little corrective, that does feel a little like, you're always asking me to do stuff and you're always correcting me and you're asking me questions,
Mm-hmm.
even though most of us are not doing that. Okay. It's how it comes into the teen,
Yeah.
the growing human.
Yeah.
So this is taking the pressure off the growing emotional and joining them in a way, non-verbally and verbally, that says, I adore you.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God,
Uh-huh.
I love you. And I care about you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I'm interested and I'm curious and maybe even saying, I'm sorry about all the questions. Sometimes I'm trying to change that habit, but
Yeah.
it is a habit and I really am interested in you. So you
Yeah.
can help me. But that's oftentimes I think it's coming from a place of good intentions, right? It's not always corrective or wanting to,
Yeah.
give instruction or something. It's really like wanting to know what's going on.
And the way you did it the Nicole way. So
Hmm.
parents, caregivers, to just don't have that parent talk voice. Sometimes we use parent talk voice and they can't hear us.
Hmm.
And so you are just like, oh, I just, I don't want to be like that. I'm going to kind of look at it. Don't overtalk it. However, there are things kids need to do. There are questions we need to ask them. So there's other techniques. I'm a big fan of scratch paper. So use scratch paper
Hmm.
and put it on the counter where they see and just say, I realize there's things when I see you, I want to say, oh, did you walk the dog? Remember to blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to have this scratch paper and I'm going to put these things down there because I don't want to go after you. You probably remember all this stuff, but I'm going to have it on there just in case you forget and then back off. But when they don't look at the scratch paper,
Yeah.
and they ask you like, hey dad, can you take me to blah, blah, they want a little favor, say, I'd love to. Awesome. Did you get to all the stuff on the scratch paper? And
Yeah.
they'll be like, no. And say, okay, great, go knock it out. But again, look at my tone.
Mm-hmm.
Not,
Mm-hmm.
hey, did you get to this? It's like
Oh,
you
that's
always
great.
assume your voice, even though
Yeah.
you're acting a little bit because one of my kids is very forgetful. I know she's not going to go to the scratch paper unless I say, I'm not going to tell you which kid. Come on over here. Let's look together, blah, blah, blah. But that makes a kid feel like they're a baby.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Teenagers do not want to feel like a puppy or a baby.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you're always joining, like, there's stuff that is required. Our family needs you. You're important. So work with me. Do you want scratch paper? And let your kids help design some of the ways you talk.
Uh-huh.
It's really, you can tell I'm into this. I've seen so many families say, wow, that little move really makes me feel different even around my kid.
Okay. Something, it doesn't have to be a major change or shift. It can be really something.
Yeah,
Tell me, Ellen, and you might have already planned to talk about this. Do you want to share at all differences in suggestions around communicating with boys versus girls? Are there differences there that you think are important for us to be thinking about?
definitely. And so parents, all people, no matter your gender, your culture, birth order, all these things have an influence
Hmm.
of
Hmm.
how you perceive the world, you take it in, how you express yourself. But there are some gender differences that when parents get tuned in, they can adjust and play with some of these techniques. So we know that our sons can be very good at expressing feelings. They're actually born more emotive than our baby girls.
Really
Yes, in
interesting.
my second grade, it's very upsetting to me that the research tells us that boys have 50% fewer feeling words.
Mm,
And this is because of
wow.
the way, yes, they are talked to
Right.
and the way they are non-verbally and told that feelings are weak. You only express mad. Mad is, a boy feeling, but sad is not a boy feeling.
Mm,
Okay. Girls are told another story that's not true. Girls are told, oh, tell us all your feelings. You get to have all the feelings. But if you talk about you're mad and you're jealous and you're anything that is a hard to have feeling,
mhm,
you're being too aggressive.
mhm. Yeah.
Okay. So, what we do in schools and in homes is we tell kids, we had it wrong. We now understand that all feelings are important. We get to have all these feelings in our family. We need them all. All behaviors are not okay.
Mhm,
This now sets that when a kid is truly showing you they have a heavy heart and you have worry, that they are allowed to have a heavy heart, that you have confidence that they can do hard things. They might need some more help, okay? Just like they need more help in anything in life.
yeah.
And there's no shame. It's just like right now, this is extra heavy, so let's get you some help, bud.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Regardless of gender, right?
Regardless of gender.
Yeah.
So boys also do much better in the teens, especially with not a lot of eye contact and sit down. I would say more female style, where you go, "Hi, Walter, how are you feeling?" Like, that's not really the style. They do better with kind of a walk and talk, kind of a oh, we're doing the dishes, we're building, we're shooting
Yeah.
hoops, we're in the
Taking a drive.
car.
Yeah.
I would just in a drive, and I would say most teenagers are like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Um, Boys tend to, when they when they do things, they do it one at a time. So when they're walking in a room, most boys are walking in a room. They're not processing, oh, there's my dad and mom, I should say hello. They're literally walking in a room. When they're doing their Legos, they're doing their Legos. So they don't necessarily hear you saying time for dinner, honestly. And then we think, oh, they're just so with boys and men in general, or women who run this way,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's called time silence from Bill Pollock. You let them walk in and get the lay of the land. Okay. You might go, hey, hi. You might give a pat. You might write a cute love note. It's just a
Mm.
subtle entry.
Okay.
And then, yeah, with teenagers. And then you just sort of unpack things lightly, like, oh my God, today I got funniest thing happen. Like, just, you're not asking questions.
Mm-hmm.
Boys do way better with that.
Okay.
Um, Teens in general. I'm a big fan of komojis, and we have a lot of free resources. Teenagers are a little too old. They're not going to want to like have feeling
Yeah.
flashcards,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
No, they're not.
However, however, you'd be surprised that if you just had these and you threw them on the counter in a bowl, these are free. These are not free. I think they're more effective.
Uh-huh.
Here's the thing. They'll be like, well, what are these? And it's the physical thing. The kids will go,
That. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Or you could say the feeling of your day, or you can tell the story of your day, or a parent can leave a beautiful komochi like grave and
Uh-huh.
make you a little note. It's because pandemic, this stress requires all of us to practice brave. And we tell the kids this, you cannot be brave unless you have hard feelings like fear.
Mm-hmm.
I'm scared. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sad. I'm mad. I'm insecure.
And Ellen, wouldn't you say that it's important for them to be hearing us use those words? Yeah. Or to use the komochi, but to communicate what it is we're feeling. We're the ones to role model. Yeah.
This is it. And when you're a parent, I think we're so concerned to show them too much of us. And we're so concerned to let them have too many hard feelings because we want them to be happy.
Yeah.
And 12 and a half year olds to about 18-year-olds go up and down. And some kids really have hard times. I had one daughter that had such hard times, and I'm grateful for it now, but it was so scary. And she got the right help. And
Mm-hmm.
she's 24 now, and it's made her who she is. To hear her tell her story, I know, to tell her story, and for us to laugh about some of our bonehead moves. Like some of my worst moments, I'm like, Kate, remember the time? I'm not proud of this.
Yeah.
I swore at her. I gave her the F bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible. I did it, but I owned it. And so I don't tend to do that. I was at my emotional biggest fear and upset. And so I said, you. And I can only stay on my side of the street when I make mistakes with my feelings. But I told her that was wrong. I have regret. I know I can never take it back, but I'm going to work to never do that again when I'm that afraid. That is my best lesson.
Absolutely. What an opportunity to role model, that
Yeah,
we mess up, right? We mess up. And like you said, to
yeah,
own it and then demonstrate we're gonna do our best to
yeah,
do it differently in the future.
yeah.
Yeah, because they're gonna mess up too,
All their life.
right?
All their life. So pulling all the way back, we're in the pandemic, and I think this is great. You're doing this little bite size videos you can watch and maybe grab something. So my message is, without a pandemic, this is a major emotional growth time. So the reset for parents is to say, and to maybe talk a little less, do some of these little ideas just to see what works for your personality and child. Number one. Two, the pandemic will eventually be over, and there's a story that you're creating. So write it together, literally, intentionally. You're taking all the pressure off grades. This is a hard one, Nicole, because grades in some environments matter, but some kids are not school kids in the first place. I have a few of those. And so it's the research tells us that adults that put an eye on performance, those kids don't tend to do as well emotionally. If parents say, wow, you're having to do school and this and that, that's a lot. You can do hard things, so can I. And saying that message over and over, and really saying we're keeping our eye on practicing things and growing. Okay. Now, when you know that you have a child that needs some extra mental health support, I'm pleased because I feel the world's got it now. There's no shame. It's like I go to a dentist, I went to a pediatrician, I go to a hairdresser, I go to whoever can help me. I go to a car mechanic. I can't take feelings to a car mechanic. I'm going to go to a good counselor. But the sense is, I think everybody should get some coaching on how to be a human and manage feelings. And we are in the front line of saying, I'm going to get help. I'm working on this. And to close, I'd say one of my favorite things I do with my beloved people, my kids, anybody that's close, is 1 plus and a wish. And I just periodically say, give me one bone, one thing I'm doing that makes you feel close to me. And one thing that I could look at, that if I have the ability, and I talk just like that, I am going to work on it for us, because you are so important. And what happens every time is the person turns it around, so then they can do it about themselves. Okay, Dad. Okay, Mom. And you want kids to self-reflect and go, you make a good point. I do kind of creep into the room and not say anything and say, don't worry. That's a lot of people do that, but a smile once a week makes my heart fill up. Throw me a bone. Like, all right.
Love that. I love that. That's a great takeaway. It really is one that I'd like to start using right away. I think that's great. You are such a gift, and I really treasure all that you've shared and the work that you do. And I want to point out before we close, Ellen, that you do work with families as well as with schools. And so we'll have a closing slide that will let folks know how to contact you, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that'd be great. It is my pleasure. I love feelings. I've gotten very close to feelings in the pandemic. And I really do believe that the closer we can get to all of our feelings and take care of all of our feelings, there are feelings. We don't feel the same about things, and we learn how to express them. That will help our kids have a healthy life and change our world. And it obviously needs a little adjustment.
Yes, it does. Starts right here, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
I love what you're doing. Thanks for inviting me.
You're so welcome. Be well now, Ellen.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.